We are on a mission to save and revitalize independent pharmacy.
On the Catalyst Pharmacy podcast, you'll get actionable business advice.
Hear stories from industry leaders.
And share a laugh or two with us.
Fuel your passion for pharmacy.
One conversation at a time.
Welcome to the Catalyst Pharmacy Podcast. I'm your host, Jeff Key, president of PioneerRx, and today I'm here with my favorite co-host, Marsha.
Well done. Hi, I'm Marsha Bivins. I'm the director of marketing for PioneerRx. Today, our guests are Jack Guinan. He's the president of TransactRx, and then we also are joined by Andrea Seratte, executive VP of TransactRx. Welcome to the Catalyst Pharmacy Podcast, Jack and Andrea. So let's start off introductions. So, Jack, you're the president of TransactRx. So tell us about you. How did you get started in the pharmacy industry?
So back in 1992, way back when, I was an early e-prescribing guy. So I had owned and operated technology companies since the 80s. In 1992, a partner said, I have the next big thing. And it wasn't called e-prescribing then. He owned a pharmacy, so we need to get the doctors connected. So we actually started up an e-prescribing company in 1992, way before SureScripts, before RxHub. And we ended up selling that company to a pharmacy that was growing. We took that public and we turned that into a chain of 25 pharmacies around the state of Florida that were all connected, all using e-prescribing from around 2,000 physicians around the state of Florida into this chain. We opened a mail order facility that was doing about 2,000 fills a day out to the patients. And we added on a home infusion company because there was, we were not busy enough, and started a PBM. And so back in the 90s, this is what I did. And then that company started buying up other transaction companies. That was called Proxymed at the time. It was a public company. And we became the second largest healthcare transaction company behind what was called Emdion at the time. And I've stayed involved in the transaction space and in and around the pharmacy part of this since then. So it's been a few years.
So that became Emdion? That technology rolled into Emdion?
No, we competed with Emdion back at the time. Although much later, Change Healthcare did buy that company. And so now it is actually rolled into and part of the platform still being used by Change Healthcare on the medical claims clearinghouse side. We sold the e-prescribing part of the company to SureScripts after SureScripts came into being a few years after that. And that company is no longer around.
Okay.
Cool.
Wow.
So how did that take you into the medical billing? No,
How did that transition into
TransactRx?
Oh, so then after I left that company, I was doing consulting for a while, and I was working with a private equity group that was investing in a company that was one of the largest drug repackagers in the country. Had a physician dispensing part of the business, which was the smaller part of the repackaging, but one of the larger ones, which is where Andrea comes into the picture because she was working with them. That was called Dispensing Solutions, Inc. And then they decided to spin out the technology part of that drug repackager, which started as the physician dispensing system, which there were a few thousand physician offices doing dispensing on this system back then, and doing full ordering, getting all their drugs from this repackager. And then Part D came into being. They decided to move Part D vaccines to the Medicare to move vaccines to Part D. And Andrea was working with that physician dispensing company and her husband. And Andrea had the idea of helping these pharma companies. It was Merck. They came out with Zostavax, and they couldn't sell it to the physicians because they didn't have a way to bill for it. And so decided to add in the physician to pharmacy billing into that company. And then when we built the platform out, we built it to go both ways, helping physicians get paid for pharmacy benefits, pharmacies to get paid for medical benefits. And so that was in 2008. In 2010, when retail pharmacies started to be able in general to administer vaccines to patients around the country for flu shots, that's when we started in earnest using the pharmacy to medical benefits part of our transaction platform.
All right. And I think he's already started your
All
introduction.
right, so
Andrea,
do the same thing.
Yes.
So my turn?
Yeah.
So Jack started in the early 90s. I'm a little older. I started in the late 80s, but
Okay.
was actually on the finance side of healthcare in the hospital industry and worked with a lot of nonprofit hospitals here in Arizona, and then eventually went to developing rehab hospitals nationally. That company that I worked for was acquired a couple of times. I was the CFO finally with that company, and we had built 8 hospitals in the United States, and then we acquired several others, and then that company was eventually bought by HealthSouth. I left at that time and started my consulting company, and the pharmacist in charge of some of the hospitals was actually also here in Arizona, contacted me and said, "Hey, I know you work with a lot of physicians. Do you think you would be interested in this repackaging program with physicians dispensing in their office?" I didn't particularly want to get involved with that, but my husband can sell a glass eyeball to a snake, and so he thought that would be a great thing to do. And we actually was one of the larger, what they called management companies at that time, putting physician dispensing into physicians' offices. We had physicians all across the United States, with our highest concentration in California. And that's how I met Dispensing Solutions. We eventually moved our business for purchasing repackaged medications to Dispensing Solutions. I was still consulting primarily on revenue cycle management side, still a lot with the hospitals, with a lot of startup and development companies in every ancillary service you can possibly imagine. Worked with a lot of physicians in developing expanding their practices, developing surgery centers and that type of thing. But Dispensing Solutions hired me to help them expand their physician dispensing, particularly as it relates to the regulatory side in different states. And that's at that time is when NCPDP had contacted us and said, "Hey, we know what you're doing in the physician arena. We know we were at the time expanding adjudication, and wanted to know if we could do something along that line with the Medicare Part D." Because when Congress passed Medicare Part D, they put preventive vaccines under that benefit, but they failed to understand that physicians do not have the capability of contracting, or they have the capability, but they were not contracted with PBMs. The PBMs did not want to contract with thousands of physicians. And physicians do not have the technology. Practice management systems in physicians' offices cannot process pharmacy claims. I had coincidentally developed a statewide rehab network, and so I basically took that same model and applied it to the networking and contracting aspects of pharmacy. And we developed a network of physicians contracted with the different PBMs. It was basically a collective process in developing the model. We worked with CMS, NCPDP, AMA, a bunch of other stakeholders, a number of the major PBMs, and came up with basically what we have today is the Transact Medicare Part D program. So one thing led to another. I was working with Dispensing Solutions. As Jack said, we spun that off into a new company, and here we are today working with pharmacies, physicians, a number of different ancillary providers, health departments, all around the pharmacy area in helping them get their claims processed and paid.
So a lawyer and an accountant have a company. Sounds like the beginning of a joke, like
Sounds like the beginning of it. Walk into a bar,
Arizona and Miami.
and out walks a company.
Like fire and ice, right? So you guys get along? How's it been running the company over the years? Y'all like total sync? Do y'all have a lot of, hey, we really fight it out, we figure out how to make it better?
So,
what am I hanging for?
So a little more clarification here. So Jack, you're in Florida. Andrew, you're in Arizona?
Yep. See, fire and ice.
I get that's actually fire and fire.
No, like Miami. I think of ice. I think of diamonds. I think of the water. I think of, kind of flashy kind of town. Arizona, I think about heat and red rocks. And so that's my fire and ice. Yeah.
Okay. So
they're going to name the episode Fire and Ice. You just wait.
So he's going more like rapper style with the ice piece, I guess.
Yeah, Jack's got a gold chain under there. I know it.
No, I retired that in the 80s.
They're coming back. I know. My wife bought he's not going to watch this by then, bought my son a necklace for his birthday. I'm like, is that coming back? I had a necklace on. Okay, so we drift.
For this,
how do y'all tell us about the running the company and the dynamics of you two guys coming together and
Well, so when the company started in 2008, it was actually based out in California. That was where Dispensing Solutions, the company we spun out of, was out near Newport Beach, California. And then Andrea lived in Phoenix at the time. I was living in Miami. We were going back and forth, which was much shorter for Andrea to go back and forth than myself. So then we moved the company, I guess, Andrea, in 2009. It was about a year afterwards.
Y'all were like bleeding edge companies moving out of California.
Yeah, I think we moved into the new office over here in 2010.
In 2010, yeah. So then Andrea had always been taking care of the customers, all aspects, contracting, the payers, governments, the doctors, all of the customer-facing services was her part to run, and then I was taking care of the corporate side and the technology side of the business. And so we moved the customer care services, we call it, to Phoenix, where she was. Okay. And we moved the corporate office and the technology group to Miami, where I lived. And we've been running it this way since 2010. And it's worked out very well. Maybe, because we're not stuck in the same office every day, we get along great, and very few, arguments over anything.
Nice. Okay. Yeah. So
we should learn from them.
I think so. So I'll go live in New York. Or no.
We just live different places.
No. I'll move to Savannah with Mackenzie.
Okay.
And you stay here. And then
why do I have to stay here? I go and you stay.
Because your kids are here. My kid's going to Savannah.
Your other kid's staying.
He'll be there someday.
All right. So and this pretty light company, right? So it's not like you have 1,000 employees.
No, we're a small company, and we always have been. And so we have 16 employees at TransactRx. At one point we had more, but right now we have 16. So from the very beginning, and I've been a proponent of virtualization back from when they coined the term. So when we started TransactRx in 2008, it was very early on, but we adopted working in the cloud. And so it was a little bit of leap of faith, but we started and built all the technology for the company in AWS when no one knew what AWS, was from Amazon. And so we never had to build up a large IT group and support group because AWS took care of it. And our developers work remotely from home pretty much from the beginning. And so the customer group out in Phoenix, they like working together. So, nice. We gave the option actually of them working from home, but they decided, Andrew, right, they wanted to work in the office.
We have a few employees that work part-time at home, but collectively we think that it's important for us to be together it's always the 80-20 rule. 80% of our calls into customer care is I forgot my password. Easy peasy to take care of. But when the more complicated questions come up, it just works well for us because we are small to kind of brainstorm together, figure out a solution if it is something that requires that, and just having some socialization together.
Yep.
So everyone's not so isolated.
Yeah, I think you could imagine hiring a customer support person and going, do you like to be around other people? Right? And if they said, no, I like to work at home. Yeah, you're probably not what we're looking for for customer service, right? I think it's great that your customer support people want to be other people.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I would say, well, one thing I think is important for us here in Arizona, and well, the same in Miami office, we've all worked together since 2010.
Wow.
Except for one employee, and she's been here 6 years. But everyone else has been here since we moved the offices we hired them when we moved the offices from California to here. We actually had 2 employees leave and come back. So I think that says a lot about our culture. Yep. And we're small, but we're a small family.
I remember when we were small. Insert sigh here.
That's negative. No,
I wasn't being negative. I remember. It's just every stage. You like every stage of your kids, right? Every stage of kids, you enjoy it for its own reasons, right? You like it. And so you could say, hey, I remember when they were 5. You can say that I can enjoy them when. So I just there was
your sigh is
there was a
in
thing
remembering fondly.
To enjoy.
It's not like
right.
Okay.
Where it was that kind of deal. Everybody had been here for a while.
Okay. Now I gotcha.
You could have a potluck and.
Yeah, we used
feel like nobody poisoned you. You know.
At Proxymed, that's the company I was with, and we grew. We actually had 400 employees when I left there. It was a public company, 400 employees. I like the 16 small size much better than the 400.
Yeah, there's pros.
Company.
In the 400, you have to find your small company.
Yeah.
You have to find your small company in there, your people who are your people. Kind of thing, which makes it sad because you want to be people with all 400, and you want to have that. It's kind of like, like churches, there's things fun about big church, but you got to find your people, and then you got to find your small group within your big group.
I agree with your size, remembering a day when we were 20 and going, oh, wow, we were so close knit, and now we're 300, and it's like
just a smaller close knit though.
Yeah, it's a smaller close knit now.
And within that, there are people who are close knit. And you look at them, and you go, as an outsider, I'm not in your little group there. but I get it. Yeah, one of the things that we learned about you guys early on was how great the technology was. That was one of the good things that as we looked at, hey, bringing you guys into the RedSail group. Really excited about the technology and where that could go and how that could integrate in with the other systems easily.
So, Andrea, how long have you been in Arizona?
Oh, my goodness. Since the early 80s.
Okay.
A long time.
And
originally from Philadelphia area.
Okay. And you have, I believe you mentioned children when you were here in the office. You have kids? Yes. How many?
We have 3. We are a blended family. I would say that we are a successful blended family. We all get along very well. Have a son, and they're all adults. A son and two daughters.
Okay. And what are the ages?
Oh my goodness. The youngest is going to be 29 in a month or 2. The next one is 32, and the next one after that is 37.
All right.
Did they hang around Phoenix? Did they disperse?
Yeah. So the oldest one came or was here for the longest time, left, and now he's back. And he and his wife live in Central Phoenix, have 1 grandson. The middle daughter, she will never leave Arizona, and she's married, no children. And the youngest one is a captain in the Air Force, and she's currently based outside of Las Vegas.
Nice.
Does the no children want children?
She does not want to have children. She has fur babies.
Fur babies.
Fur babies.
You're seeing that a lot more these days.
Lots of fur babies, yes.
I have real babies and I have fur babies. And sometimes the
Yeah,
fur babies.
lots of both.
I have lots of
Fur
both.
babies sometimes are better than the kids, just saying.
Sometimes. Other times it's like, okay, it's easier just to go, great, outside. I don't want to see you for the next hour. Just go outside. Okay, Jack, you're in Florida, but you said you were originally in San Diego or
Well, no, actually, I grew up in New Jersey.
Okay.
So I grew up in Central Jersey, actually very close to where Andrea's from, on the other side of the river, in the Trenton-Princeton area. So we started off in the same place. I came down to Miami in '78 to go to the University of Miami.
Okay.
So I've been down here a long time.
Wow. Seen a lot of change in Miami, I'm sure.
Oh, a lot of change.
In that time frame. Yeah.
Yeah. Also at the University of Miami. So I went undergrad there. And then later I went back and went to law school as well at the University of Miami. So I've been down here, and I met my wife, and she's Cuban American and has a huge Cuban family. So I'm part of this whole Miami, Cuban American lifestyle here. And
he's got his own little modern family.
Yeah, I have. Yes, exactly.
Mark he's giving me grief because I've started watching Modern Family.
Her husband watches it all day, and we've been binge watching in the plane.
Yes,
and
you guys have kids.
So yes, 2 kids. My son is 30, and my daughter is 28 and a half, and he's still here in Miami. And has a lot of ties here. He'll probably stay here. He's in the music business down here, and
he's a rapper.
So this is,
and yet he's retired because his gold chain wasn't retired; it went to his son.
Oh, he passed it on.
You passed it on.
There you go. Yes. And so he's here, and my daughter is in Orlando. It's here in Florida. It's
not too far away, a couple hours. Yeah. What does she do in Orlando?
Yeah. She works for us. So she's been working for TransactRx for a number of years now, and we'll see where she goes.
Is that the same? Y'all could work together as long as you weren't in the same office?
Yeah, it's much better. She was working out of the Miami office here before she moved up to Orlando. But it was much easier for me to turn into dad rather than boss when she was here in the office, and so she probably likes it much better.
Yeah, that's a small ratio. My daughter works here, but we have more employees, so there's a couple of layers from her to me.
Yeah.
She's a programmer.
She said that I treated her much more, I don't know, harshly than anyone else here. I don't think I did, but
I could see that. I've been in that scenario. I have been in that scenario. I worked for my dad while I was in college, doing the invoicing and helping with the accounts payable and receivable. And there's just times where it was like if somebody did not do their job right, it trickled down to the child. So that worked in the office. It was just easier because the things that you want to say that you should not say to an employee, it's easier to say to your kid, I guess. I don't know.
Right, exactly.
So I do treat you like a daughter.
I don't
you
think
do.
I did.
There are times that, yes, you do. And then I have to kick you back.
Oh. So, all right. So we're going to have a business commercial break. Just give me a minute.
Back to the business.
Give me a minute. So Transact today, primarily a vaccine biller on the pharmacy side, right? So helping pharmacies bill their vaccines to the medical side. So where are we going? Where are we going from there?
So we actually used to provide a full set of medical billing service for pharmacies, and that part of our business was larger than it is right now. But just for business purposes, without getting mostly, we were a small private company, and it all had to do with profit margin. And so the billing for immunizations in pharmacies, there's just a higher profit margin than the other services. They're much more complex. It takes a lot more labor to bill for. So that's how we ended up there. But I was very excited. We got involved with RedSail because I've known Mike McManus for I don't know how long.
Everybody
20
knows
years
Mike.
or, for 20-something years, and was talking to RedSail about partnering and becoming a distribution partner for the service. And we started talking about the roadmap of the services and starting with immunizations. That turned into the conversation went so well. Now we're sister companies inside of RedSail.
Family. Sorry.
Yes, everybody knows Mike McManus. It's almost becoming like that everybody knows Dave joke.
Yeah.
All right, so where are we going?
So the way to get the service launched quicker and become more integrated in with RedSail and with Pioneer and QS1 was to continue offering what we were already doing and getting that rolled out. We are adding back in over the next, I'll say 6 months to at the longest 9 months of all of the other medical benefit covered services, back the DME supplies, the nebulizer inhaler drugs, Part B covered drugs, and then general HME, DME services. There's a big change going on in the DME medical billing world that has to do, without getting too technical and business-wise, has to do with attachments. Medical billing has always been a big hassle when it has to do with submitting attachments, other information to claims. In the pharmacy world, you send a real-time claim, you get a response back, it's all electronic. Not so much in the medical billing world. There's still a lot of paper involved. The government finally is moving in the right direction and getting rid of a bunch of this paper and changing a bunch of the billing methods that has to do with DME as of January 1st. So we're lining up the services not to have to make a big switch right when we first get started. So right after the first of the year, we'll be adding back in at least DME supplies. We'll probably be doing DME supplies, the nebulizer inhaler and drugs, and Part B covered drugs in January, and then quickly moving on and back into the full set of other HME, DME services within the first part of the year.
Will that mean a lot of new employees?
A lot, no. It will. What it takes is more claims management, right? So when you start adding on some of these other categories, the medical billing side of the billing world, for whatever reason, the payers don't just pay claims the way they're supposed to pay them. So you have to follow up a lot more with these. And another reason we were doing immunizations were much simpler with that. And so as you start getting into these other categories, it just takes more claims management. So a lot more, no, but we will be adding on more staff in the customer care group and primarily around following up with the claims and the payers. And one of the things that Andrea's team does great, and we feel much better than the other folks, is making sure that claims get paid and proactively following up with payers when things get rejected, why, fixing things, resubmitting, following up on denials. So we will be adding in more staff. How many more, we'll see, but it definitely will take more people.
Yeah, super exciting. Always fun, again, to be in that role where you're adding services and adding people and trying to roll
and think of new ways to grow and add on to.
Yep. Where are we going to put that person?
And insert the sigh here of, I remember when we came up with these ideas and we implemented this.
Yep.
And from where we started.
So Andrea, you do some charity work that you're passionate about. Tell us, I saw that.
Yes.
Tell us about that.
I do security work?
No, charity.
Charity work.
Oh, charity.
The Cross Benefit Foundation.
I do a little bit of that. We started a foundation a few years ago. It's actually on hiatus right now because of COVID killed our ability to do what we do, which was basically taking young adults, high school and college students, training them to be good caregivers, and then providing childcare services to people with struggling with financial resources. And so we did a lot of work in Phoenix that houses women, has probably about 60 apartments.
Okay.
They all have children. And so this is a 2-year program. These women come in off of the street. And so we would come in and tutor and provide childcare services for those women.
Interesting.
Primarily in that area were college students. And then we provided a host of after-school program services, providing childcare and tutoring services for families that needed that type of care. Childcare, as you probably know, is very expensive.
Yep.
Yes.
It's under-resourced, and it's really challenging for a working poor. So our charity was actually designated as a serving the working poor and available for tax credits in Arizona. But like I said, we've been on hiatus. The other thing that slammed us at the same time with COVID was that our insurance dropped us. They no longer wanted to provide insurance for children, our primary child care providers after school were high school students, and they didn't want to provide child care for children that were 16, or provide insurance for children that are 16. So we have 2 areas that we have to struggle, and our board is trying to restructure, reconfigure how we're going to be able to provide these services. We're probably going to need to partner with facility providers and help provide the funding, and just do funding raising and help support similar charities that provide similar child care services.
Okay.
Because between the insurance and then all of the COVID restrictions that we have to follow as a child care provider, it just gets so cumbersome and just a little crazy. But our charity served over 200 families, and started in 2015. I actually started it with 3 high school students that were from my church. I was their coach as a high school coach in the church, and we started the foundation and grew it to serve over 200 families through the course of that time.
Very cool.
Insurance and lawyers, boo. Not boo on you, Jack.
Not boo.
When COVID hit,
Don't boo
and
lawyers.
Boo.
we had, schools closed, so obviously there's no after-school services.
Right.
The facility that we were serving down in Phoenix, downtown Phoenix, it shut its doors. Basically, could not allow any volunteers in at all to help. They actually have had to do a lot of restructuring themselves since COVID struck them financially as well. And then we got the double blow with the insurance. So I was like, oh, okay, all right. I guess this is a message that we need to reconfigure, restructure, and so that's what we're in the process of doing right now.
Do you think that the insurance issue was COVID driven, or?
No, I just think because insurance companies are so risk adverse. They're insurance and they don't like to take on risk. But because we're working with children and then young adults in families, and unfortunately the culture of the world has gotten to be not so trustworthy. And so I just think they determined that it was too risky for them to insure. And we tried multiple insurance companies. If we had a facility and had adults working in that facility that were hiring 16 and older, that would be a different story. But because they were in individual homes, they weren't going to support that.
Very interesting. It sounded like a cool deal.
Yeah. I'll just add in my defense on the lawyer comment that I became a lawyer, so I didn't have to hire other lawyers.
I see.
I went to night school for 3 years at University of Miami. They had a program. I literally became a lawyer, so I did not have to hire other lawyers and deal with them.
Nice. I like that.
So it worked out well.
That's very smart.
I like that. So what do you do for fun, Jack?
Well, I like down here in Miami.
It isn't working on your mother-in-law's house, so we figured that out.
No, exactly. No, not that. Being out on the water, being out on the beach, any outdoor activities. If anyone ever asks, and there's ever a choice outside or inside, it's always outside.
Is that deep sea fishing or inshore fishing?
No, I don't do too much deep sea fishing, but a little bit of fishing here in the bay, just general boating. These days, floating around out in the bay.
Scuba,
comfortably.
snorkel?
It's a nice day. Snorkeling mostly. I used to scuba more, but now it's snorkeling. With my group, it's there's not as many scuba people, so we mostly go snorkeling down in the Keys. So we're very close to the Keys.
Yep.
So that's one of the nicest spots that you can get to. So spend time down there.
What's
and
the best
snorkeling
time
there.
of year to go to the Keys, do you think?
I would say in the spring, the late springtime. So
April, May.
Yeah, April, May is nice. You can't go then. In the weather is too on and off when you start getting into July, August. But September also
Okay.
very nice. So
Really? I figured it'd
yeah.
be too hot in September.
Well, it gets a little cooler.
It starts
but,
to kind of taper off.
It's mostly has to do with the weather.
Yeah.
In the summertime it rains in the afternoon. So
And when it rains in the afternoon, that makes the water cloudy, right?
yes, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's just
Murky.
not conducive for
Right.
diving.
So late spring.
Yeah.
Yeah, I need to go back. Marsha and I went maybe April last year,
March.
something, and it was
Something.
nice. But they were remarking about it being nice, like it was too early to be nice.
Yeah.
Well, it's probably a little cool. So after I've been here now for so long, up in Jersey, we would go in the ocean when it was 60-something degrees. Now it has to be a little bit warmer. So the water's still a little cool in March.
What about you, Andrea? What do you do for fun?
Oh my goodness. A few things. I actually love the beach, and so beach vacations. Actually went to school in Florida as well.
Okay.
So I went to Florida Atlantic University, and so we have a part-time home in just a little bit north of Fort Lauderdale. So we like to go there when we actually have time off. I go there more often than my husband does. And then hiking, a lot of outdoor activities. Back in the day, I did a lot of horseback riding, but my poor little horse died a few years ago.
No.
And so I have not replaced her. That's a retirement goal. And just hanging with family, very involved in our church. And seems like every day I'm doing something different, never sitting still.
Yeah.
The horse used to be, so when we first moved the office to Phoenix, it was in one of Andrea's properties, which was a house, but in the back was a stable and a field, and so the horse actually was a resident at the
Yes.
at the TransactRx
We
office.
had a company horse, actually.
A company
So
horse.
instead of
Yes.
lunch
Two company
break, it was a
horses.
horse riding break.
A horse is a
That was an old horse. I don't know how old it. I don't remember exactly how old it was, but it was.
Yeah, she was pretty old. I had her since she was born. I owned her mother, and when she passed, she was 32 years old.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow.
What's your favorite place to hike in Arizona?
Yep.
I was going to
Up in the Prescott area, it's about 60. Phoenix, Arizona is at sea level, basically.
Okay.
You just go an hour and a half north and you hit the Pines.
Okay.
And so it's about 6,500 feet up and higher. And so it's about 30 degrees difference and just a different atmosphere. So
Yep.
a lot of hiking up in that area.
Is that closer than Sedona?
Yes, it's north and east of Phoenix, and then Sedona is probably a little further north and maybe not as far east.
Okay.
Okay.
I remember Josh
That
and
makes
I
sense.
had a meeting in Phoenix, and we took a super early flight, actually drove to Sedona and hiked, and then came back for the meeting that night.
Oh, very
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, that was pretty. And
Did you do the pink Jeep tour?
And that was like in February.
no,
I
we just
think.
we just hiked because we
Oh.
had like
You
maybe
didn't
a
have
couple
time?
hours to hike.
Yeah.
We have friends coming out in
we were checking about-
in November, actually, from Fort Lauderdale.
Okay.
And one of the things we're going to do is we're going to take them on the pink Jeep tour. And they're
Oh yeah.
like a fleet of pink Jeeps, and they just drive all through the
Up and
desert
down.
and the canyons.
And they go as close as possible to the edge of the very narrow, roadways up to the side, up to the top there, just to try to,
I think
torture the tourists.
when we went to Sedona, there was a pink Jeep outside of our hotel. Like
Yeah.
that they had it sitting like up on a rock and advertising the pink Jeep. So yeah,
Oh yeah.
that sounds really cool.
Yeah, I love to hike too. We don't have a lot of. It's pretty flat here, but we got like maybe
There's some-
45 minutes in either direction. There's a
Yeah.
couple of ridges around the lake that are. You get some decent, maybe 800 feet of elevation total. Up and down, but.
Well, I jog over the bridge on Key Biscayne. That's
That's your hike.
That's about one of the highest points down here in Miami is the bridge that goes over to Key
So
Biscayne.
you're like me. You like to urban hike.
I like to.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm more of an urban hiker.
I just like to hike and see stuff. So urban hike, I'm fine with that, as long as I see something.
Yeah.
Other hike, as long as I see something.
Yeah, except with urban hikes, you get to see different architecture, and then with nature hikes, it's tree.
Different architecture.
Bug-
You can get bit by a
Or you
horse.
bit by
fly.
a horsefly.
Got bit by a horsefly for the first time in my life hiking last weekend. I think it was horrible.
Not recommended.
They don't have an anesthesia or whatever.
Anesthetic.
No, anesthetic would be
No.
one of those is germs. They don't have either. They just bite you. Like a mosquito will try to numb it, try to come in secretive, try to not stay long. Horsefly just bites you. And
Yeah, horse flies are horrible.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah. I guess having horses, you probably
Yes.
have you been bit by a horsefly?
They're like the size of a tarantula. They're
Yeah,
huge.
I'm sure
Yes.
somebody on this podcast is going to call me a big baby, but it hurt and it bled and it swelled up. I was like, I don't want to do that. I'll be wearing my insect repellent
You
next
got a
time I
work
hike.
comp case right there.
Yeah,
Yep, there you go.
no, I don't know. It wasn't work related,
Your
but
badge of honor from hiking.
yeah, it was a bobo. But
Well, I'll add one thing onto that. And one of the things that was exciting about TransactRx joining the RedSail family and working with PioneerRx is that our business of providing this medical billing service to pharmacies and the other folks in it too, we sort of act like these black boxes out there. And so the pharmacies send claims off into these services, never really know what's going to happen with them until either you get paid or you don't get paid. And we knew that we were acting like that, but we never had a way to work closer with the pharmacy systems as TransactRx. And I think the bigger guys just don't have the the desire at the moment to make it better for the independent pharmacies. And so a very exciting thing is being able to work closely with you all and with the systems folks and making this much more transparent. There's so much more information available about the reimbursement and the claims that the pharmacies don't get to see today that we have, but don't have a way to get to the pharmacies unless they use some other, our website, some other web portal, which we know is not conducive to the workflow. So over the next 6 months to a year, working closely with you all and our technology team and yours, and being able to make this a much better experience for the pharmacies. And so they say good things about medical billing instead of complaining about the medical billing and about not getting paid and not knowing what you're going to get paid. I think that one of the best things that's going to come out of this is now we can make the medical billing service work almost as good as the real-time pharmacy service, but we can provide a lot more information,
A lot more seamless.
Make this much more seamless for the pharmacies. And so I think that's going to make really be a differentiator and make what we can do together for this service just much, much better for our customers.
yeah, and the technology is nimble. I think the other players out there just have really old technology. Not that they don't probably want to. It's just so hard. The want has to have a lot of want to overcome these big hills of this old technology. And you guys did cutting edge technology, bleeding edge technology from the beginning. So today that technology is still very current and very flexible. It should be noted though that just because you're part of RedSail, you're part of a group that's going to sell services to everybody. You provide services to pharmacies today that aren't on a RedSail platform. And so irrespective of what pharmacy system you might have or whether you have a proprietary pharmacy system, Transact and their really modern technology could be an option for you. So, and my guess is as we grow here, we'll start seeing you guys more, and you focus some on pharmacy. We'll start seeing you guys at trade shows and things like that. And so also, besides future trade shows, if they wanted to learn more about TransactRx, to go to the website, right? www.transactrx.com.
And I'll just add that we do weekly live demos, and we always ask who the audience is when they attend. So if you're a pharmacy and you want to participate on those, so we can focus as part of that demo specifically what your workflow looks like. Mm-hmm. One of the challenges that we have always had in working with pharmacy software systems is that the pharmacy would say, can you give me a demo of how it works on my system? Well, we can't because we're not part of your system. So now that we're part of the RedSail family, we have that window that we can actually demonstrate what it looks like from your point of sale, pharmacy management system, and show you what that beginning to end workflow looks like. Nice. We can't do that still with other pharmacy systems, but if you are from another pharmacy system, we can still walk you through the process of what it takes to implement and to process a claim. And the other differentiating factor, I know Jack alluded to this or talked about it a little bit, is that we do every day, we look to see what claims have processed, what claims have rejected. If we see a pharmacy having a similar constant challenge, maybe they're underbilling, happens a lot, or they are submitting for last year's flu when it obviously can't use last year's flu for reimbursement. We will contact that pharmacy and help them correct that before it becomes a huge issue for them. And that is something that none of our competitors do. They may or may not get a very complicated report back, but we have a very hands-on approach in managing really almost every single claim individually to make sure that it's going through correctly and being paid.
Nice.
Well, such a great opportunity. It's a struggle for pharmacy. It's where they need to be going. This is a place they need to be going to. So much money being left on the table by not pursuing certainly the vaccines more and broader. And certainly what a great opportunity for TransactRx and just super exciting times for everybody.
Yes, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Well, I think we're getting close in our time. Marsha, did you have anything else to?
Only thing I have left to add is other information that can be found about TransactRx is also on our website that points to y'all's website as well. And I think...
well, this was a fun little did it. And
absolutely,
we look forward to seeing a lot more of you guys and continue to work together to build amazing stuff.
And again, welcome to the RedSail family. We look forward to, helping your product grow and working together and all growing into one big happy family.
Kumbaya.
Okay.
Y'all have a nice day.
All right.
Thanks.
Have a wonderful day.
Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.
Thank you for watching the Catalyst Pharmacy Podcast.
If you enjoyed today's episode, please like, subscribe, and follow us wherever you get your podcast.
Give us a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts to help us reach more pharmacy professionals like you.